The message came on a Tuesday. At first, Dr. William Foster thought his equipment was broken. The pattern was too regular, too perfect to be natural space noise. After 3 days of checking and double-checking, he finally called his boss. "Sir, I think someone is calling us," he said. Within a week, the best minds on Earth worked to decode the message. It contained star maps, mathematical sequences, and coordinates for a meeting point in space. The aliens called themselves the Zirconians, and they wanted to talk. The Earth Coalition spent 6 months building a special ship for this meeting. They named it the ECS Pathfinder and picked Captain John Miller to lead the mission. "This is the most important job any human has ever had," the president told him during the ceremony. "Make us proud." Captain Miller was tall and calm, with gray at his temples and steady hands. He had spent 20 years in space, but nothing prepared him for this mission. Dr. Lisa Grant joined as the team scientist. She studied alien life for years, though until now it was all theory. "I can't believe we'll actually meet them," she said while packing her equipment. Commander Peter Walsh handled security. He walked the ship with a frown, checking each weapon twice. "I don't trust what we can't understand," he told Miller one night. "Just because they can send messages doesn't mean they're friendly." The journey took 3 weeks. The crew trained, prepared, and wondered what the aliens would look like. Would they have 2 eyes or 10? Would they breathe air or something else? When the Pathfinder reached the meeting point, they waited 2 days before the Zirconian ship arrived. It was huge, at least 5 times bigger than their vessel, with a surface that shined like metal but moved like water. "Open communication channels," Captain Miller ordered, his voice steady despite his racing heart. The alien ship sent back images. The Zirconians looked like tall, thin creatures with blue skin that seemed to glow from within. They had 4 arms and eyes that blinked sideways. Through simple pictures and math, both sides agreed to dock their ships together for a face-to-face meeting. "This is history happening right now," Dr. Grant whispered as the airlock opened. 3 Zirconians entered the meeting room. They moved gracefully, their heads turning to study everything. Captain Miller stepped forward with his hands open to show he had no weapons. "Welcome," he said. "We come in peace." The aliens made clicking sounds to each other. One held up a small device that glowed green. Commander Walsh moved his hand toward his hidden gun. "Captain, I don't like this." Before Miller could answer, the alien pressed something on the device. A flash of purple light filled the room. The ship's alarm started screaming. "They're attacking," Walsh shouted, pulling out his gun. The purple light spread through the walls. Where it touched metal, the metal simply disappeared. The floor under Dr. Grant vanished, and she fell through with a scream. Captain Miller ran to help her but stopped in shock. The light passed over his arm, burning his uniform away, but his skin stayed perfectly fine. "What the hell?" he whispered, looking at his bare arm. All around him, the ship was falling apart. Crew members ran in panic as walls and equipment dissolved. But wherever the light touched human skin, nothing happened. The Zirconian who held the device stepped back, its eyes blinking rapidly. Through the dissolving walls, Miller could see the alien ship moving away quickly. Their attack had worked on the ship but failed on the humans themselves. As the life support systems failed and emergency lights flashed, Miller grabbed as many crew members as he could find. "Get to the escape pods," he shouted. Now. His last view before the pod launched was of the Pathfinder breaking into pieces, floating in silent space, and of the Zirconian ship, moving fast, as if running away in fear. Only 12 people made it back to Earth. 12 out of 65. Captain John Miller was one of them, along with Dr. Lisa Grant and Commander Peter Walsh. Their escape pods landed in the Pacific Ocean 3 weeks after the attack. The world wanted answers. "Tell us again what happened when their weapon hit you," asked Dr. Nancy Clark. She was the top geneticist at the Global Science Center and had been studying the survivors non-stop for a week. "The light went right through my clothes, burned them away," Miller explained. but my skin felt nothing. Maybe a slight warmth, like sitting in the sun. Dr. Clark nodded and made notes. Her dark hair was tied back, and she hadn't slept much. This mystery was too important. In another room, Alan Richards sat alone. He had been a communications officer on the Pathfinder. Now he jumped at every loud noise and kept touching his arms, as if making sure they were still there. "I saw Ellis get cut in half when the wall between us disappeared," he told the military psychologist. "But the same beam crossed my chest, and nothing happened. Why am I alive when he's dead?" General Frank Howard watched the interviews from behind a glass wall. He was already planning Earth's defenses. If the aliens came back, they needed to be ready. "So our ships are useless, but our people can survive their main weapon?" he asked Dr. Clark during a meeting. "It seems so," she replied. "We've run tests on tissue samples from all survivors. There's something unique about human skin cells that neutralizes the energy from the zirconian weapons." The tests continued for weeks. Scientists from every country worked together, studying the effect. They built a small version of the alien weapon based on the survivors' descriptions and tested it on different materials. Metal dissolved. Glass shattered. Plants burned away. Human skin completely fine. Dr. Clark worked day and night in her lab. She tested skin samples from hundreds of volunteers from all over the world. Every human showed the same protection. "It's in our DNA," she announced at a global conference a month later. "Every human on Earth has this ability. We just never knew because we never faced weapons like this before." News of the discovery spread across the planet. Some people celebrated, calling it a miracle. Others worried it would make the aliens more determined to find other ways to destroy humanity. "Why would we evolve this specific defense?" asked a reporter during a press conference. Dr. Clark showed slides of Earth's unique radiation patterns. "Our planet has unusual background radiation compared to most habitable worlds. We evolved under these conditions for millions of years. It changed our cellular structure in ways we never understood until now." In a secure room beneath the Pentagon, General Howard met with military leaders from around the world. "The aliens will be back," he said simply. "They'll want to know why their weapons failed. We need to be ready." They began planning new types of armor that would protect vital organs, but leave skin exposed to maintain the natural defense. Engineers designed weapons that could be held by bare hands without burning the user. Alan Richards volunteered for the 1st Defense Force. "I survived for a reason," he told the recruitment officer. "I need to help protect Earth." 6 months after the attack, observatories detected movement at the edge of our solar system. Multiple large objects were heading toward Earth. Dr. Clark rushed into the president's office with new findings. "We've discovered something else about human skin," she said, out of breath from running. "It doesn't just resist their weapons. It can absorb the energy. We might be able to use that." The president looked up from the space monitoring reports. "You better figure it out fast, Doctor. The Zirconians will be here in 2 weeks, and I don't think they're coming to apologize." Outside, people looked up at the sky, not yet knowing what was coming. But soon, humanity would need to use its strange new advantage to fight for survival. The Zirconian ships filled the sky like angry metal clouds. There were hundreds of them, big and small, all shining in the sunlight. People watched from below, some in fear, others in wonder. President Karen Wilson stood in the command center, surrounded by screens showing the alien fleet. 6 months wasn't enough time to prepare, but they had done their best. "All defense systems are ready, Madam President," reported Admiral George Baker. He was in charge of Earth's space fleet. 30 ships built with the strongest materials they could find. "Remember, Admiral, your job is to slow them down, not stop them," President Wilson said. "We know our ships won't last long against their weapons." On the main screen, they watched as the Zirconian fleet spread out around Earth. The largest ship, almost the size of a small moon, stayed in the back. 3 smaller ships moved forward. "They're sending a message," said a communications officer. The message was simple: surrender or be destroyed. President Wilson looked at the generals and admirals around her. Send our answer. The reply was just as simple: we will defend ourselves. The attack started minutes later. Zirconian ships fired purple beams at Earth's defense fleet. Ships exploded or simply fell apart as the beams cut through them. Launch all fighters, ordered Admiral Baker from his command ship. Operation Bear Shield is now active. Major Samantha Young led the first wave of fighters. Her pilots wore special suits that protected their organs but left their arms and faces exposed. The theory was simple: use human skin as a shield against the aliens' main weapons. Remember your training, she told her squad. When they fire, don't dodge. Let the beam hit you, not your ship. It was against every pilot's instinct, but they had practiced for months. When the purple beams came, they positioned their bodies between the beams and their ship's critical parts. The Zirconians seemed confused. Their weapons tore through parts of the human ships, but did nothing when they hit the pilots. On the ground, the first alien landing parties arrived. They stepped out of their ships wearing armor that looked like liquid metal. Each carried weapons that glowed with different colored lights. The Earth Defense Forces were waiting. Following the new battle plan, soldiers wore minimal armor and carried shields made of synthetic material that could block physical attacks, but not energy weapons. The Zirconians fired. Green, blue, and red beams shot across the battlefield. Buildings crumbled, vehicles melted, but when the beams hit human skin, they did nothing. A Zirconian commander fired a weapon that made the air itself seem to melt. Nearby trees turned to dust. The ground cracked. But the human soldiers walked through it, their skin glowing slightly where the energy touched them. They're trying different weapons, said General Howard, watching from the command center. They don't understand why nothing works. The aliens retreated to their ships, confused. They had conquered 12 other worlds with these same weapons. Nothing had ever resisted them before. Major Young led a counterattack against one of the landing sites. Her fighters used traditional weapons, guns and missiles, against the Zirconians. Though the aliens had advanced technology, they weren't prepared for physical attacks. Their armor was designed to protect against energy weapons like their own, not bullets and explosives. Keep pushing forward, Young ordered as her team advanced. Don't give them time to adapt. By the end of the first day, Earth had lost most of its space fleet, and many major cities were damaged. But the ground forces had pushed back 3 Zirconian landing parties, something the aliens clearly hadn't expected. In their main ship, the Zirconian leaders gathered to discuss this problem. Their scanners showed that human skin somehow absorbed and neutralized energy attacks. It was something they had never seen before. We need new weapons, said their supreme commander. And we need to capture these humans. We must learn how they resist us. Back on Earth, Dr. Nancy Clark studied new data from the battlefields. The skin isn't just blocking their weapons, she told President Wilson. It's getting stronger with each exposure. Our soldiers who've been hit multiple times are showing increased resistance. President Wilson looked at the battle maps. Can we use this somehow? Turn their weapons against them? Maybe, said Dr. Clark. But we need more time. Time is something we don't have, replied the president, watching as more Zirconian ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The real war is just beginning. 1 year into the war, Earth looked different. Some cities had been rebuilt with new materials designed to resist Zirconian weapons. Others remained in ruins, too dangerous to enter because of strange energy left behind by alien attacks. In a laboratory under the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Eric Martinez worked with skin samples. His lab coat was stained with coffee, and his eyes were red from lack of sleep. Try it again, he told his assistant. Increase the power by 10%. The assistant fired a small version of a Zirconian weapon at the skin sample. The skin glowed briefly, but remained intact. It's working, Dr. Martinez said, smiling for the first time in days. The treatment makes the skin 40% more resistant. Across the hall, Keith Parker, a civilian engineer who used to design cars, tested new body armor. Unlike traditional armor that covered skin, his designs exposed key areas of skin while protecting vital organs. "The chest plate needs to be thinner," he said to his team. "We want maximum skin exposure while still protecting the heart and lungs." Outside, soldiers trained with the new equipment. They practiced moving in ways that would place their exposed skin between enemy weapons and vulnerable parts of their bodies or equipment. But the Zirconians were adapting too. Their latest attacks used weapons that targeted the air around humans rather than humans directly. They created zones where oxygen was removed, making it impossible to breathe. They released tiny robots that could enter through the mouth or nose, bypassing skin protection entirely. "They're getting smarter," General Howard told the War Council. "They've realized they can't attack our skin, so they're finding ways around it." In response, Earth developed new breathing systems and countermeasures against the micro-robots. The war had become a race of adaptation, each side looking for weaknesses in the other. The most dangerous development came when Zirconians began capturing humans. Special ships would descend quickly, grab soldiers or civilians, and disappear before defense forces could respond. Sergeant Julia Cooper led a special forces team dedicated to rescuing these captives. She had lost her brother in the first month of the war and fought with cold determination. "They've taken at least 300 people," she reported after a failed rescue attempt. "We believe they're being held on their main science vessel for study." President Wilson approved a high-risk mission. Sergeant Cooper would lead a team to infiltrate the Zirconian science ship and free the prisoners. "This isn't just about rescue," she told Cooper privately. "We need to know what they're learning about us. Dr. Clark thinks they might be developing a way to overcome our skin's resistance." The mission launched 3 days later. Using a captured Zirconian shuttle, Cooper's team approached the massive alien science vessel. They wore suits that masked their human life signs, making them appear as Zirconians to the ship's sensors. Once inside, they moved carefully through the strange corridors. The walls pulsed with light, and everything seemed alive in some way. "2 guards ahead," whispered Cooper's second-in-command. "Non-standard weapons." Cooper nodded. The team had learned that while regular soldiers carried energy weapons, Zirconian scientists used different tools that might actually hurt humans. They waited until the guards passed, then moved deeper into the ship. Eventually, they found what looked like a prison section. Through clear walls, they could see humans in various states. Some appeared to be sleeping. Others were clearly being studied, their skin exposed to different tests. "Begin the extraction," ordered Cooper. "Team 2, secure our exit path." As they worked to free the prisoners, Cooper found a strange room filled with displays showing human DNA strands. One screen showed a comparison between normal human skin cells and cells that had been exposed to Zirconian weapons multiple times. She took pictures of everything with her special camera. Dr. Clark would need to see this. They had freed about 20 prisoners when alarms began to sound. A voice spoke in the strange clicking language of the Zirconians. "They know we're here," said one of Cooper's team. "New guards coming. They have dart weapons." Cooper made a quick decision. Everyone move now. Head for the shuttle. As they ran, a Zirconian fired what looked like a small gun. Instead of energy beams, it shot tiny darts. One hit a soldier in Cooper's team, and he fell immediately, his skin turning blue. "They found a way through our defense," Cooper realized with horror. "Get that dart. Dr. Clark needs to see it." The race back to the shuttle was desperate. They lost 3 more people, but managed to get the freed prisoners and, crucially, samples of the new Zirconian weapons. 3 years of war had changed both sides. Earth cities now had underground shelters and strange-looking buildings designed to survive Zirconian attacks. The aliens had changed their tactics too, using less energy weapons and more physical attacks. Neither side was winning. For every human city destroyed, the Zirconians lost ships and soldiers. The war was stuck. One day, something unexpected happened. A small Zirconian ship approached Earth with a white flag displayed on its side. It carried a message in rough human language. Talk. Peace. Possible. After much debate, Earth leaders agreed to a meeting. They chose Ambassador Daniel White to speak for humanity. He had been a history professor before the war and understood how conflicts ended. "We have nothing to lose by listening," he told the president, "and everything to gain if we can stop this war." The meeting was set on a small island in the Pacific. Both sides agreed to bring only 3 representatives and no weapons. Ambassador White arrived with Linda Powell, a linguist who had studied Zirconian language from captured communication devices, and Captain John Miller, who had survived the first contact years ago. The Zirconian ship landed gently on the beach. 3 aliens stepped out, moving carefully. One was taller than the others, with markings on its blue skin that looked like stars. "That one is important," whispered Linda. "The markings show high rank." The tall Zirconian stepped forward and made a gesture that looked like a bow. "I am Zirktal," it said in broken English. "I speak for those who want peace." Daniel nodded respectfully. "I am Ambassador White. We also want peace." Over the next few hours, with Linda's help, they slowly began to understand each other. Zirktal explained that not all Zirconians wanted war. Some believed humans could be valuable allies because of their unique biology. "Your kind special," Zirktal said. "Never before see species resist our technology." Ambassador White learned something surprising. In Zirconian society, technology determined status. The more advanced your weapons, the higher your rank. For thousands of years, they had conquered other species easily because their weapons were superior. "Humans different," said Zirktal, "make many leaders afraid. If weapons not work, what is their power?" Linda translated more complex parts of the conversation. "They have a civil war brewing," she told White. "The military leaders want to keep fighting us until they win. But the scientific faction, led by Zirktal, believes we should be allies." Captain Miller, who had been silent, finally spoke. "Why should we trust any of you after what you did to my ship and crew?" Zirktal's skin color darkened slightly, which Linda explained was a sign of sadness or regret. "First attack was test," Zirktal said. "Standard procedure before invasion. No species ever survived before. Your survival changed everything." The meeting continued for hours. They learned the Zirconians had a vast empire with hundreds of planets. Earth was supposed to be just another easy conquest. Instead, it had become their biggest challenge. As the sun began to set, Zirktal made an unexpected request. "Show me your resistance," it said. "I must convince others." Ambassador White hesitated, then nodded. "What do you need to see?" Zirktal took out a small device, similar to the weapons that had been used in the war but much smaller. "Low power," it assured them. "For demonstration only." Linda and Captain Miller tensed, ready to protect the ambassador, but Daniel White stayed calm. He slowly rolled up his sleeve and extended his arm. "If this helps bring peace," he said, "then do it." Zirktal activated the device. A soft purple light touched the ambassador's skin. The light spread across his arm, making it glow slightly, but causing no harm. White didn't even flinch. The other 2 Zirconians made clicking sounds that Linda said expressed amazement. "Now I show you something," said Zirktal. It touched the same device to its own blue skin. The alien winced in pain as the light left a dark mark. "We hurt ourselves with our own weapons," Zirktal explained. "This why some of us want peace, want to learn from humans." As they prepared to leave, Ambassador White took a risk. He extended his hand for a handshake, a human gesture of agreement. Zirktal looked at Linda, who explained what it meant. After a moment, the alien extended its long 4-fingered hand and carefully shook the ambassador's hand. "We return in 7 days," said Zirktal, "with others who must see. Beginning of new understanding. As the Zirconian ship rose into the evening sky, Captain Miller looked skeptical. "Do you really think they want peace?" he asked. Ambassador White watched the ship disappear. "I think some of them do. And sometimes that's enough to start with." The peace talks had lasted 2 months. Each meeting brought new understanding between humans and the moderate Zirconians led by Zirktal. But not all Zirconians wanted peace. "Emergency meeting," announced President Wilson's aide, rushing into her office one morning. "Our space telescopes have detected something big." In the command center, Dr. Ryan Murphy, Earth's top physicist, pointed to images on the main screen. They showed a massive object being built in space, far beyond Mars. "We're calling it the stellar converter," he explained. "Based on energy readings, it's at least 1,000 times more powerful than any weapon they've used before." Admiral Baker studied the images. "Can it break through our planetary defenses?" Dr. Murphy nodded grimly. "This isn't designed to attack humans directly. It targets stars. If they fire it at our sun, the resulting explosion would destroy our entire solar system." The room fell silent. Human skin couldn't protect against a dying star. "Zirktal says the military faction is making one final attempt to defeat us," Ambassador White reported. "They believe destroying Earth completely is better than admitting their weapons failed against us." "How long do we have?" asked the president. "The weapon will be operational in 3 days," said Dr. Murphy. "It will take another 2 days to move into firing position. 5 days to save Earth," the president said quietly. "What are our options?" They developed a desperate plan. Earth would send its best ship, the ECS Defender, on an intercept mission. A small team would attempt to disable the weapon before it could fire. Colonel Heather Davis was chosen to lead the mission. She had won many battles against the Zirconians and understood their technology better than most. "This is a one-way trip," she told her volunteers. "The Defender might get us there, but we'll have to find our own way home." 20 soldiers volunteered. Among them was Andrew Scott, a civilian pilot with skills no one could match. He had lost his family early in the war and had nothing left to lose. "I can fly anything," he told Colonel Davis, "even alien ships." The Defender launched the next day, carrying Earth's last hope. Using technology from captured Zirconian vessels, they traveled faster than any human ship before. When they reached the stellar converter, they were shocked by its size. It was like a small moon made of metal, with a front section that glowed with strange blue light. "That's the firing chamber," said Dr. Murphy over the radio. "You need to disable it from inside. Our weapons won't damage the outer hull." Colonel Davis led her team across the space between their ship and the weapon. Using special suits that masked their life signs, they cut through an outer door and entered. Inside, they fought through Zirconian guards. 3 humans died in the battle, but the team pushed forward to the central control room. "This technology is different," said the team's engineer, studying the controls. "It's not responding to our override codes." Colonel Davis examined the central pillar. "Look at this. There's some kind of biological interface. They've learned from studying us." The interface was designed for Zirconian hands, with 4 finger slots glowing with energy. "I think I understand," said Andrew, stepping forward. "They created this weapon specifically to counter our advantage. The controls require Zirconian DNA to operate." "Then we failed," said one soldier. "We can't shut it down." Andrew stared at the controls, then at his hands. "Maybe not." Dr. Clark said human skin absorbs Zirconian energy. What if it works both ways? Before anyone could stop him, Andrew placed his hand on the interface. Pain shot through his body, making him scream. But he didn't pull away. "The readings are changing," shouted the engineer. "The weapon is responding." Andrew's skin began to glow with the same blue light as the firing chamber. Veins of light spread up his arm and across his chest. "I can feel it," he gasped. "It's like the machine is alive. It's trying to reject me, but my skin is adapting." Colonel Davis checked her scanner. The weapon is powering down. Keep going. With his other hand, Andrew reached for the second control panel. Now connected to both, he closed his eyes in concentration. I'm redirecting it, he whispered. Not toward our sun. Away, into empty space. The huge weapon began to move, turning away from the solar system. The blue light in the firing chamber pulsed faster. It's going to fire, shouted Colonel Davis. Everyone back to the ship. I can't let go, said Andrew. If I do, it might reset. You go. I'll make sure it fires safely. Colonel Davis hesitated, then nodded. Your sacrifice won't be forgotten. As the team rushed back to their ship, Andrew Scott remained connected to the alien weapon. The blue light had spread across his entire body now. News of the stellar converter's failure spread quickly through the Zirconian Empire. Their ultimate weapon had been defeated, not by superior technology, but by a single human skin. On the Zirconian homeworld, the military leaders who had pushed for war lost power. The moderate faction, led by Zirktal, took control, immediately calling for peace talks with Earth. 6 months later, Gregory Bennett stood in a massive hall unlike anything built by human hands. The ceiling looked like flowing water made of light. The walls changed color with the mood of the room. This was the new Galactic Council chamber, built halfway between Earth and the Zirconian homeworld. As Earth's representative, I am honored to sign this treaty, Bennett said to the assembled aliens and humans. He was a farmer before the war, chosen because he represented ordinary people, not politicians or soldiers. High Chancellor Zirkvos, who had once been known simply as Zirktal, stood opposite him. Since taking leadership, Zirkvos had worked tirelessly for peace. This treaty marks the beginning of understanding, not just between our worlds, but throughout the galaxy, said the Zirconian leader. The treaty took months to create. It established trade routes, cultural exchanges, and most importantly, a promise that no species would use weapons against another without provocation. Behind the scenes, the real work of cooperation had already begun. Dr. Melissa Wright led a team of human and Zirconian scientists studying the unique properties of human skin. It's quite amazing, she explained to a group of visitors touring her lab. Earth's unusual radiation patterns forced our ancestors to develop cellular structures unlike any other species in the galaxy. The research showed that humans evolved on a planet with unique background radiation that other habitable worlds didn't have. Over millions of years, human skin developed ways to absorb and neutralize certain energy types. This same property allows human skin to interface with some alien technologies in ways we never imagined. Dr. Wright continued, we're already developing new medical treatments based on this discovery. Most surprisingly of all was the return of Andrew Scott. 3 months after the stellar converter incident, a strange ship appeared near Earth. Inside was Scott, forever changed by his connection to the alien weapon. The energy rewrote my DNA, he explained to Dr. Wright during his examination. I'm not fully human anymore, but I'm not Zirconian either. I'm something in between. His skin now had a slight blue tint and could glow when he touched certain technologies. He could understand all Zirconian languages and operate their most complex machines with just a touch. He's a bridge between our species, said Dr. Wright, living proof that we can adapt and change together. The Zirconians, once feared invaders, now saw humans as evolutionary marvels. Other alien species, hearing about Earth's resistance to advanced weapons, came to establish diplomatic relations. Earth joined the wider galactic community as equals, not as conquered subjects. Human skin, once just a biological covering, became known throughout the galaxy as the shield that stopped an empire. In schools across Earth, children learned how their own bodies contained amazing abilities that had saved their planet. In Zirconian schools, young aliens learned that true advancement came not just from technology, but from understanding biology and respecting differences. 1 year after the peace treaty, Gregory Bennett and High Chancellor Zirkvos opened the first Galactic Cooperation Center on Earth. The building was designed with both human and zirconian architecture, a physical symbol of their new relationship. 5 years ago, we were enemies, Bennett said in his speech. Today, we are partners in exploring the universe. Andrew Scott attended the ceremony, standing comfortably among both humans and zirconians. A young child approached him, curious about his glowing skin. "Are you a human or an alien?" the child asked. Scott smiled. "I'm a reminder that the line between us isn't as fixed as we once thought. We can change, adapt, and become something new together." As ships from a dozen worlds hovered above the ceremony, the message was clear. Human skin had not just defended Earth, it had changed the galaxy forever. What began as a weakness in the eyes of invaders had become humanity's greatest contribution to a new age of peace and discovery.